everybody, my name is Elisa, and today I'm going to bring you a game of Legend and Sorcery versus fnaticFenix and ROOTdrewbie. And, well, Sorcery's name is Josh, as we all know. And I think Sorcery and Legend weren't using Skype this game, so you're going to see all the strategies they talk about. And Sorcery is a very high-rated 2v2 player, one of the best 2v2 players in the world, if you ignore his little bout about hacking. But I'll be casting with Cricket Starcraft. Cricket, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey, my name's Cricket, and I cast. Yeah, and so I'm good to be here. And actually, just for the record, whenever you said this is going to be a game of Legend and Sorcery, I thought you were like doing like a movie trailer. I didn't realize they were actually named Legend and
Oh yeah,
Sorcery.
there's actually a guy named Legend. And
So it sounded really good. I was fully convinced, and then after I read the typing, I was like, oh, wait a second, that's their name. I was like, dude, this guy's a good caster.
yeah, it's not like a legend of Sorcery, it's Legend and Sorcery. And Sorcery is pretty legendary. I mean, he's actually one of the first players to get Predator Ike on the North American server, and then he hacked his way to rank 1 in the world for 1v1, and now he tries to play clean. You guys can actually check out his stream. I'll put a link to that in the description. But he likes to stream his games now, so if you guys think he's hacking, go check out his stream. If you guys want to play against him and get a good advantage and make him pissed off, then go check out his stream as well. And so it looks like Sorcery and Legend are going to be going for a 12. I think this is a 12 pool from Legend, 12 over, and Sorcery going for the Hellion Ling. And you can actually tell he's going for Hellion because he does have a supply depot right above the barracks, and that is going to be able to protect his reactor once he puts that on. He's basically just going to wall off the reactor completely with supply depots, just so if they do run into his base, they can't really touch it. And the reactor is the most valuable part about the Terran player in the first 6 minutes, and so yeah.
Very nice, very nice. fnaticFenix also getting that 10 pull, gonna go and start mining gas, so he gets that speed at what I think it's the 4.5 minute mark.
Yeah, something around 4.5 minutes. Actually, both players playing a little bit greedy right now. Neither of them 10 pulled, because if you actually have 10 pulled, you'll have Lings out at around 2 minutes and 50 seconds, and so they know that if you 10 pull and the opponent Zerg 12 pulls, then you're slightly ahead on the economy. So they're both playing the fine line of not making Lings early on. And yeah, and looks like Phoenix is going for pretty standard, or not Phoenix, DrewbieBie going for pretty standard. DrewbieBie is a Terran player, so it's pretty interesting that he's playing Protoss right now, as Terran Zerg is basically the strongest combination, and Protoss Zerg is like a little bit weaker version of that. And so Legend and Sorcery just talking about what they see right now from their map, and DrewbieBie trying to go in for a little scout.
Yep, so good call on that reactor. You know, he's protecting it. The Lings are coming in for, or actually just trying to pick off that scouting probe from DrewbieBie, and he is just bringing them around the merry-go-round there, getting all the scouting information he needs so that they can adjust their build accordingly. It does look like more gateways are going to come up for DrewbieBie, so he's going to be thinking more gateway-centered army. No Stargate, actually going to be able to pick off this Overlord, so that's a little unfortunate for Legend, as he's going to have to make another Overlord. One is already on the queue, so good heads-up play there, but he's going to have to make an... yep, and there's number 2. So going to be compensating for losing that Overlord, getting a good scouting information. I think he was able to see those gates that came up. I'm not quite sure, but able to kind of see the direction that is going. Yeah, he was able to spot those gates, so able to see Gateway Army is coming up, no Stargate, no Twilight Council right after, so no huge tech. They're all playing very safe.
Yeah, and we see 2 big armies about to fight in the middle right now, and by big, I mean moderately big. And interestingly enough, we do have Legend speed kicking in, so he's just basically able to kill everything. And the timing of the speed for Ling Hellion battle is so crucial, because if you have speed before your opponent, they can't run from your Lings, and your allies' units are just going to get slaughtered because the Lings run the fastest. And so we have Hellions and Lings right now, and they're just making very quick work of these Lings and Hellions, or the Lings and Stalkers that ROOTdrewbie and fnaticFenix are pumping out right now. But it does look like Legend is actually making 2 Banelings in the back, and so that's why he had a little bit of a slower pool, just so he can favor a little bit more drones for the Banelings actually. And we do have Stalkers coming in, and DrewbieBie really needs to focus on the Hellions right now, just so that the Lings can be picked off, or the Hellions can't pick off fnaticFenix's Lings. And both of these guys are actually Terran players, so it's really interesting watching them off race as another race, just to see how they deal with the other races' basically unit mechanics.
And I was keeping a close eye. Those 2 Banelings went into DrewbieBie's base and destroyed, it looks to be about 6 probes with just those 2 Banelings, so using them very cost effectively. And those Hellions really mopped up a lot of Lings, so looks like Legend and Sorcery are still staying on the offensive as they are right outside DrewbieBie. and fnaticFenix's base. But Drewbie looks like he's going for that Stalker army. Looks like Phoenix is actually going to be going starting on his roaches, which will really help out with those Hellions, deny those, and of course the Stalkers just have to watch out for the Zerglings, making sure they don't get surrounded.
Yeah, against the Zerg Protoss team, Sorcery usually never gets pre-ignited. He goes 2 Rax Marauder, and that's exactly what we see in his base. 2 Rax Marauder with a very early stim, and this is because of the stim timing. Obviously, it takes like 30 years to get stim, so he has to start it very early. And he's just going to go 2 Rax Marauder with Hellions. The Hellions are great against light units, the Marauders are great against armor units, and they basically instantly lose to any air units. But with all this early pressure, it makes it really hard for anyone to get air units. Definitely not from the Zerg player, and a Void Ray from the Protoss player is just going to spell doom if the Zerg player has to defeat Hellions and Lings with just Lings. And
yeah.
So we do see the Sorcery moving in with a Legend right now, and looks like ROOTdrewbie's army getting caught a little bit out of position right now, but a lot of roaches from Phoenix, and Sorcery really needs to pump up the Marauders because they're going just pure armor units right now, and Banelings are terrible against armor units. As you can just see, running those Banelings into the roaches, not really doing any damage right now, and Sorcery really needs to back up. They're a little bit overextended, and I think Sorcery is making more Hellions and more Marauders in his base, so he really needs to pump up the Marauder count, maybe add a few barracks or just expand and go siege tanks. We'll just have to see. But taking a look at the Legend space right now, he's getting a Roach Warren himself because he knows that he just can't continue massing Lings against Roaches and Stalkers. Roaches being very good against Lings and Stalkers being pretty good against everything in general.
It looks like Drewbie is going to go with the Blink Stalker route, so continuing to concentrate on this Stalker. Maybe what I would assume is that with all those Lings, that he's assuming that Legend is going to go for a Spire. And just because of the heavy Ling count, not too many Banelings, kind of saving the gas, but of course we can see that that's actually not the case, so I don't know, Drewbie might be reading this a little bit wrong, but of course the Stalkers are going to be phenomenal against the Marauders and the Hellions, as long as they don't get caught out of position. So we do have Drewbie, he's going to be able to hit anything in the air, and of course Phoenix is going to do a great job as long as that Marauder count doesn't get too heavy. I'd still like to see a few Banelings from Phoenix, but he's going to get his expansion down, and he actually doesn't have a Baneling nest, so that's actually not going to happen at all.
Yeah, one thing about Blink Stalkers on this map is that you see the Overlords all scattered around the space between Phoenix and Legend space, and this is just because there's really no anti-air if you're going to go Ling Hellion, and so you can really spread those Overlords around for vision. And what you can do with Blink Phoenixes is you can actually blink into the enemy base and just start harassing. When they pull all their units back, your ally can come in and harass their natural, and then you can just blink away and basically do guaranteed damage without them being able to respond very well. They would literally have to camp your side, and you'd have to blink into it for them to actually counter it. And so it's a very nice strategy. I don't know if ROOTdrewbie will be doing it this game, but we do see a large amount of Stalkers right now moving towards the middle, and fnaticFenix's Roaches are just waiting at his natural right now.
Yeah, and for the record, you said blinked Phoenixes, and
Blink Stalkers, sorry.
I was like, holy crap, OP, like, oh. So anyway, I kind of twitched whenever he said it. Not because it was wrong, but just because, like, that's just scary. That's just really scary.
Like
so
Marines with siege mode.
Yeah, that kind of junk is just messed up. That's like how you just play with people's minds. Drewbie's scouting out for those expansions. Very nice. Actually going to go and lay down one of his own. Not at his natural, because he can't, because Phoenix has his crap everywhere, also known as creep. And that is everywhere. Going to get 2 spines to help defend. But of course, I would have to assume that they have to know if that creep is in the natural of Drewbie's base, that he's got to be getting a hidden one, unless if they're going to like do some kind of all-in. But an all-in, of course, isn't too effective at this stage in the game. But they do look like let's hit. There's the word. So they're going to go for it with this Marauder Hellion Ling Roach battle. So basically anything death on the ground is what's going to happen from here. And so we'll have to see how this battle plays out.
Yeah, excellent control by Sorcery. And by excellent control, I mean he just A-moved into those 3 roaches, so I don't really know why he needed 3 roaches. I mean, generally you have 1 unit up in the front to scout for an army when they come, but 3 roaches seems a little bit excessive. And right now, Sorcery putting his Hellions in the back, and this is a great move because he doesn't want the Hellions to tank any of the damage right now. And basically what all Sorcery needs right now is those Marauders, as many Marauders as he can find, because the majority of ROOTdrewbie's and Phoenix's army is just armored units, and he does have the Medivacs up in front, so he can be a little bit liberal with the stims. But a few Mutalisks coming out right now, and absolutely no anti-air from Sorcery. or Legend, so they're going to have to do as much damage as they can, as quickly as they can, in order to make this attack actually cost effective. And Sorcery actually running in with those Hellions, very nice control, but ROOTdrewbie blinking back and sniping those Hellions, but that does leave the Sentries and the Stalkers, or Sentries and Zealots, sorry, vulnerable to the Roaches, and so it looks like Sorcery is going to be moving in. I think he's going to try to do as much damage as he can. The Stalker looks, or the Spire looks like a great place to attack, and after that he might go for the spawning pool or the lair, depending on how much time he has left, but it does look like Phoenix and ROOTdrewbie are going to be able to clean up this army pretty easily.
Yeah, and ROOTdrewbie did a phenomenal job of blinking back, not losing those Stalkers when he didn't need to, and then came in and finished it up. It was unfortunate that Phoenix lost the Spire. He's going to be down on tech a little bit with his 2 Evo Chambers, not doing anything. I think that's a little bit of a waste. I don't know if of course they weren't expecting to that to do too much damage, and I think a lot of that was just the unit composition, but we can see already Blink Stalkers are coming into Legend's base, going to try and trade off the damage, but Vikings are in the air, but there are a good bit of Mutalisks, there are a few Marines, but the Blink Stalkers are going to be able to help out with that and push back Sorcery's army while they continue to mop up and basically give a little payback to all the damage that they did for knocking out that Spire. They say that we can do it too. So that's what you're talking about, the blinking into their base. That's exactly what they do. And SCV is actually coming off the line, going to try and do as much damage as they can. And it looks like they're actually able to snipe out that hatch, and that's going to set him back huge, doing Blink Stalker Micro. And I think they did the damage that they needed to do.
Yeah, definitely. Those Broodlings coming out right now, and they're actually attacking with the Broodlings and the SCV, so we know that Sorcery is basically desperate on units right now. But the good thing is that they did take out fnaticFenix's expansion during that, and going on one base that long as a Zerg is just a terrible, terrible feeling. But one of the bad things is that ROOTdrewbie does have his own expansion right now, and I don't think Sorcery actually scouted this out. Taking a look at the vision, yeah, he definitely hasn't scouted it out yet. But the thing is, if Sorcery gets those Hellions, he can easily go in with 2 or 3 Hellions and kill all of those workers before ROOTdrewbie has time to actually react to that. So maybe 1 or 2 cannons in the middle line would be greatly beneficial to ROOTdrewbie, but we'll just have to see, because Phoenix does have the Mutalisk control right now, so Sorcery and Legend can't really move outside of their base unless they have adequate anti-air protection inside their base, or they just have an army that can just basically steamroll everything right now. But it doesn't look like that's the case. Legend actually having to make the layer at his natural because his main was sniped right now, and Phoenix is doing a little bit of map control with those Phoenixes, putting the fear of the Phoenix, or sorry, putting the fear of the Mutalisk into Sorcery and Legend's minds right now, having to build turrets everywhere, and being a little bit too liberal with those Phoenixes, or god damn it, being a little bit too liberal with those Mutalisks. Sorry, his name is Phoenix and he's got Mutalisks. It's all very confusing.
He's just getting the best of you. He's getting in your mind, man. Don't let it happen. But Phoenix, it looks like he's just saying, you know what, you hit my Spire? All right, I'll just go straight Roach. I'm okay with that. And so that's all he's doing. He's not replacing the Spire at all. It does look like there is going to be an engagement. Blink Stalkers are coming in here, getting some decent force fields. He's going to be able to attack, move as much as he wants. There are Vikings out on the map, but of course, there too is not going to be able to do enough against all of those mutas. And there is concussive shells slowing down those Stalkers, laying down some defensive shields actually, so he can move back a little bit, regroup. And it does look like fnaticFenix, they are on the retreat here. Actually, yeah, you're going to want to run with those Roaches. That's a lot of Marauders. So looks like there's a little indecisiveness going on. Shields, Guardian Shields, people attacking, people moving back. I don't even know what these guys are thinking right now.
Yeah, the situation's very, very fragile. You really want to coordinate with your ally, and since Legend and Sorcery don't have Skype, it's really hard for them to coordinate. I'm not sure if Phoenix and ROOTdrewbie have Skype. I'm pretty sure they do. And so it's all about the coordination of your attacks. I mean, if you go 1v2, you're going to lose the majority of your army basically without doing any damage. And so it's all about positioning and attacking 2v2, but it does look like Sorcery and Legend did get the better of that engagement. But right now, more great force fields actually by ROOTdrewbie. It's very strange as a Terran player. I would not have expected to see such great force fields. But anyway, those medevacs actually healing the Roaches. A little bit of interracial healing from Sorcery right now. And those medevacs are pretty drained, and it does look like Phoenix and ROOTdrewbie will be able to push this back. Taking a look at the tech at their base right now, ROOTdrewbie still doesn't have any cannons at his natural, but it does look like he is gearing up to take a third, and he is just moving in with those Stalkers with very, very mobile units, making it very hard for Legend and Sorcery to have any coordination, just because they can go in and choke, get you out of position, and Phoenix can just come in from another side and just do guaranteed damage.
Yeah, and I really think that ROOTdrewbie and Phoenix really have the upper hand right now. They have that Blink Stalker tech that's going to be so strong. It looks like he is going to move down and do the exact same thing that they did last time without the Mutalisk support this time. But he's going to blink across and go ahead and kill the expansion of Legend, probably. Actually going to go and get his third base, and we see that Phoenix is getting his third as well. And so Sorcery and Legend are really on the back foot. They only have this one tech path that they're kind of stuck on, and they really kind of have to do a lot of damage with that. I think they did a good bit of damage the last time, but once again, I think this Blink Stalker Harass is going unnoticed, and so it looks like Drewbie's coming in right now.
Yeah, Drewbie just waiting for the Blink cooldown, and he didn't shift Q Blink, so he does have one Stalker on the low ground, but he does have these large amount of Stalkers in right now, and he's going to be going for Legend's Hatchery again. That Hatchery already at 50% life, but right now I think he's going to have to retreat. He did force a Stim, however, and he did lose one Stalker. I think he's almost lost 2 Stalkers there. Yep, did lose 2 Stalker, and didn't do that much damage, but regardless though, it was probably a good attack, just because it keeps Sorcery on their toes. He doesn't know where he needs to defend right now, and in the meantime, Drewbie's just macroing like a god right now. He still can't take the expansion at his own natural. Very unfortunate that the Zerg creep, very selfish mechanic for 2v2. It would be interesting to see if to let actually Terran and Protoss buildings build on your own creep if you were Zerg, but I don't think that'll ever happen. Anyway, very Marauder heavy from Sorcery. He does have +1 right now, and he knows that he needs to get Marauders against his Blink Stalkers. Really nothing else is good against that unless he can go with Mech and force an engagement. So he does have these 5 barracks, wow, 7 barracks in his base right now, making Marauders and actually getting a Ghost upgrade. So Sorcery, possibly having seen Infestors, going to be EMPing the Infestors, and EMP generally good against Protoss to begin with anyway.
Yeah, and we see that Phoenix actually has a few Infestors. There is a big engagement going on, but good shields are forcing the teal and the purple army back, as I have already spaced on the name. Sorcery and Legend, that's what it is. But Infestors finally getting in on this battle. They do have enough energy for some fungal growths, and that's going to be devastating to Sorcery's army. Not that it's going to do a lot of damage, but these guys, especially the Roaches, they don't have much range. Infestors coming in there just being annoying. All the medvacs forcing them to have to lose all of their energy, and that's a great strategy. Make them lose all their healing ability and then go in for the attack. And so we'll have to see how this Infestor Roach Sentry Blink Stalker combination seems to be doing quite well. And I don't know if Legend and Sorcery still sticking with this same tech path. I think they think that this is the way to go, and they want to try and break them. But I definitely think that Drewbie and Phoenix obviously have the map control. And yes, they do want to hit soon. Sorcery, I would be very nervous right now as they have no map control, and Drewbie is at 152 supply. These guys aren't okay. Looks like Sorcery is at 131, so he's the closest to him, but they are slowly but surely getting out macroed.
Yeah, definitely. Drewbie and Phoenix have complete map control right now. This is a great contain on Sorcery's part, and they really have to push out sometime soon. Great scans coming down, and a missed EMP there, but the sentries from Drewbie are really clumped up right now, so if he does an EMP right in the middle of that Protoss ball, he could do terrible, terrible damage, and it does look like Sorcery moving in with the Ghost, doing another scan, and I think he's prepping up to do an EMP, but being a little bit hesitant on that part, and actually great spread by Drewbie, but that spread is just gonna let Sorcery move in with his Marauders to just do work on those on the Protoss ball. And right now, Fungal's coming in, and EMP's going down. I think he did EMP the top of the ball of Phoenix, but it does look like the mass amount of Marauders and the great medevac support is just going to make it so hard to kill those Marauders with just armored units. And actually, I heard some snipes going down right now. And actually, all the Infestors are being taken out, and I think I just heard of some more snipes. I'm not sure where they went down, but right now, moving in, Sorcerer moving in with his Marauders, and he does have a 1-1 on his Marauders, and it does look like Phoenix's expansion will be taken out again, running away all his workers, and Sorcerer doing his best to try to kill as much workers as he can, and it looks like he is quite successful, and it looks like ROOTdrewbie right now very happily saturating onto base, but he desperately needs an army to try to kill this, and it does look like he is warping in his main, gearing up for an attack, just trying to collect as many units as possible, and I think Legend does have his own Infestors out right now, and Sorcery looks like he's going to be doing a drop at the top. I think he does suspect that Phoenix and Drewbie have expanded to the top part.
Yeah, and I think after this game, Drewbie is going to go tisk 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 because he just finally got his upgrades down. He's been behind on the upgrade game this entire time. And Phoenix has actually been doing a phenomenal job at 2-2 with his Roaches. And so I think that might be a little bit of the deciding factor. Obviously, it looks like this could be the game, but of course there's tons of bases still left. We'll have to see what happens. But I do have to give this game to Sorcery and Legend as they hung in there. There's the GG from Drewbie. So does look like Sorcery and Legend are going to come away with this thing.
Yeah, definitely, and with a Protoss Zerg, or with a Terran Zerg team, you don't always have to go Tempool Hellion, as many people lead to believe, because, well, you can easily just counter that with armored units early on, and although Sorcery and Legend did Temple of Hellion to begin with. I mean, it was basically just the transition that they did out of the Temple of Hellion that won them the game. And they're playing against two very, very good 1v1 players. Granted, they were off racing, but 1v1 players really do have a good sense of how to play into the macro game. And it's really unfortunate that most of the 2v2 games result in very cheesy play and very quick games. So make sure to check out Cricket's channel. I'll leave it in the description. And my name is Elisa with 8 E's, and I'll see you guys later. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, where you can see all my latest news and updates.